Welcome back. The defense team for actress Amber Heard rested their case this morning in the defamation trial between her and actor Johnny Depp.
The Pirates of the Caribbean star is suing Heard for $50 million over a 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post. In it, she wrote about her experience with domestic abuse, but didn't mention Depp by name. But he says the piece damaged his reputation and career.
Now, the trial is getting a whole lot more than its fair share of attention online, like on TikTok, with the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp getting 15.1 billion views on that platform. The hashtag Justice for Amber Heard only has 51 million views. Now, some experts fear the trial's attention could have a negative impact on domestic abuse survivors. Joining Morning Rush to help us understand how this trial could impact those survivors is Ruth Glenn, president of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Ruth, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about something that is really an important issue, especially right now. So we're learning intimate details of these two actors' lives playing out in front of millions of people, from text messages to photographs. What effect is this having on survivors of domestic abuse?
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me. It can have what we call a chilling effect, which is for those that are experiencing domestic violence and have thought about ways to come forward and talk about this. This will prevent them this will give them a reason to double think that. They already have many barriers to speaking out about their domestic violence. When you have a high profile case like this, and you're watching what's happening, particularly on the social media platforms, it can definitely have a chilling effect.
Right. And when we talk about social media, I mean, so much good can come out of it, but this is one of those things that is not so great, because just like the positive story gets, spread like wildfire, so do the negative, and so do those pictures, like we've seen in this trial of Amber Heard and some injuries possibly. But let's go back to that number that I mentioned. 15.1 billion people on TikTok say they want justice for Johnny Depp. Why are so many people supporting him despite tales of alleged abuse, as opposed to Heard? I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, but just in any coverage, there's flocks of people outside the courthouse just hoping to get a glance of either just Johnny Depp or both of them.
Right. So I firmly believe that there is quote unquote a fandom for Johnny Depp, and they have really turned this into what I would call a real misrepresentation of what can happen with domestic violence. We wouldn't be talking about domestic violence if there wasn't domestic violence on one party or another party's side. We, as the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, have not taken a stance yet on who is at fault. Mm-hmm. But even we have received emails and voicemails and social media messages that say, you guys are against Johnny Depp and that kind of thing. It's really turned into this more of an entertainment than what you described, and we all know is very personal and hard stuff for either party to be talking about. And that's really unfortunate, not only for the victims and survivors, but society in general. It really misshapes the conversation that we could be having about domestic violence.
Right. Now, obviously, we haven't received, any word on a verdict in this case, so we really don't know, as you were saying, which side is which, right? But it still needs to be a conversation, though. Hashtags like Amber Heard is a psycho or Amber Heard is a liar is trending on Twitter. So what messages are these sending to someone who might be in an abusive relationship?
That you're psycho. Mm-hmm. That there's something wrong with you, not necessarily the person that's hurting you, but wrong with you. Domestic violence victims and survivors already have challenges, and particularly around what we would call classifying domestic violence as part of their mental health issue. And so do abusers, by the way. But having something like that out there, again, is really something that when victims and survivors are looking at it, they feel like they're part of that stereotype that is sometimes projected on domestic violence victims and survivors.
So I want to switch gears a little bit here because, of course, here at Newsy, we're solutions-based, right? We want to make sure that we, at the end of the day, we help people in some way or another, right? So for anyone who may be involved in an abusive relationship, what can they do? What should they do?
Thank you so much for asking. Anyone that feels as though they're in an abusive relationship has to make their own decisions about when it's safe to either reveal that and or leave. We have to be really careful and let them be empowered to do that because they know when it's best to be safe. Moving forward, and that is what they decide to do, there are resources available in their community to help them, such as community domestic violence programs, and of course the National Domestic Violence Hotline can help them find that program for them. I would also advise that family and friends be very thoughtful about what they think is going on for that person and make sure that they're prepared to help that person when the time comes, but allowing them to make the decision when it's most safe.
All right, Ruth Glenn, president of the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. We appreciate your time this morning. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Of course. And if you or someone you know are in need of help, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text the word START to 88788. We'll be right back.